Watching long videos can take a lot of time, especially when you just need the main points. So that's why we have created an AI powered video summary. So it's a smart application so where you can upload any video and get a short summary in just a few seconds. So first it pulls out the audio from the video, so then turns the speech into text using the AI, and finally creates a short and clear summary. So the tool is easy to use. Just upload your video and wait a little and your summary is ready, right? So it's perfect for the students, teachers, content creators, and anyone who wants to save time and understand the video faster. So we'll be building this. So let's get started. All right. So in the first step, let's create a empty folder for the project. Let me get into the library, and here let me create a new folder. I'll just name this project as Euron AI agent transcribing, 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 and summarizing videos, and summarizing videos. All right, so let me get into this folder. So right now the folder is empty. Okay, so in this project I'll be using a Conda environment. So I suggest you to create an environment for this project. To create an environment, so we have two options. You can just use the Conda environment to create it, or you can go with venv module. So if you are familiar with venv, you can use that method to install all the dependencies. So if you don't have any idea, you can just follow along. So I'll be using a Conda environment to basically Conda to create an environments. So in case if you don't have Conda, it's very simple step. Okay, you can just go to Chrome and type Anaconda Navigator, look for Anaconda Navigator and try to download it. So once the Anaconda Navigator is downloaded, you can just go to search and type here Anaconda. So Anaconda prompt. Okay, so if you see this Anaconda prompt, it means that you have installed the Anaconda here, and from this we can create a Conda environments. So right now, let me just get into this path and open the VS Code. Right now, our folder is completely empty. Let me just go and do cd into this path and type code dot. Okay, so I've just opened the VS Code over here in the same folder. All right. So what is the other method? You can go to file and click on open folder, and you can just open the folder wherever you have created a project folder here, right? All right, so now the first step, let's go and create an environment. So let me go to new terminal, and here I'll be using a command prompt. So right now I'm in the base environment. So let's create an environment, and here let me just go and create in one more file called notes. Okay, so if anything, any commands, important commands it's required, so I'll be adding that in the notes.txt. All right, so here to create a Conda environment, so I'll be writing this command, that is Conda create -m, Conda create -n, and the name of the environment. So I'll just give here Euron video summarizer, and I'll be using a Python 3.9 for this project. Okay, so Python is equal to 3.9. So this is how we create an environment. So Conda create -n, the name of the environment, Euron project video summarizer, and this is the Python version. Let me do enter. Give the permission. Yes, I want to proceed. All right, so here I've created environment, so I can just activate the environment by writing this query, that is Conda activate Euron video summarizer. So in the notes, I'll just write down this environment name so that whenever you want to come back to this project, you can remember this is the environment. Okay, and let me just type here. So right now it's a base environment. So as soon as I enter this, there is a Conda activate Euron video summarizer, and do enter. Yeah, so right now I'm inside this Euron video summarizer. All right, so the next important package. So now we'll start installing all the dependencies. So the first dependency which you're gonna install something called FFmpeg. Okay, so this tool basically handles all the audio and the video operations. To install that, so you can just type conda install -c conda forge FFmpeg. Okay, so this tool basically handles all the audio and the video operations. Let me do enter. So make sure you have activated the environment, and inside the environment you are installing all these dependencies. So let's wait. Yes, I want to proceed. Yes. So it's very big package. Okay, it will take a few minutes to install. All right. So here downloading and extracting packages is done. Okay. So next I need to install the PyTorch. So here to install the PyTorch, actually we have various setup. Like with help of CPU only and the GPU only. So here we'll try to install the PyTorch for the CPU. To install that, you can type conda install PyTorch and torch vision and torch audio. We need to write a flag called CPU only hyphen c PyTorch. Okay, this is what the command is to install the PyTorch, and do enter. Give the permission s, enter. All right, so we have installed the PyTorch. Okay, so now the next engine which we are downloading is called OpenAI Whisper. Okay, so it's called speech recognition engine. So let me just try to install that, and we directly install this from the uh, GitHub. Okay, so let me just give that command. So we'll be using something called pip install. So pip install, and you need to give the path. Okay, to install this Whisper. All right. So the next, we're gonna install for the text summarization, because once we extract the video, extract the audio from the text. Okay. Of course, we need to give the summary of that. So we'll be using a transformers. Okay. So we'll use Hugging Face transformers models for the summarization. So let's try to install the transformers. So pip install transformers and do enter. All right, so this is done. So next, finally, we have one more package called MoviePy. So it's like alternative to the FFmpeg, which basically help us to extract from the video and audio. Okay, so this is a Python based. Okay, even we'll try to install this. Pip install MoviePy. Okay, so yes, so this completes all our installation process. All right, so we have done, we have just completed all the installation. So when this step is done, okay, the next step is let's go and create a project structure. So right now I'm inside this folder, and right now we have just only one file. There's notes.txt. So in case if you want to write down any of the comments, okay, you can just write down here. Okay, the first file we're gonna create is called main.py. Main.py. So this will basically orchestrates the overall flow. Okay, so whenever we try to run the project or trigger the project, so it will be triggered from the main.py. So next, let me create one more file called transcriber. Transcribe transcriber.py. So this handles all the audio extraction and the transcription. Okay, so from the video, this is the transcriber.py. So it's transcriber, transcriber. So next, let's try to create a one more folder called summarizer. Sorry, one more file called summarizer. RIZER summarizer.py. So inside the summarizer.py, it will handle all the text summarizations. Okay. So next, let me create one more file called utils.py. So inside the utils, it's like all the helper functions. Okay. So for the project, so if require any helper functions which supports a project, we'll be writing that in the utils.py. So next we'll have app.py, so which will be our front end. So app.py. Okay, for the Streamlit. All right, so these are the different scripts, okay, which we'll be writing. So we have app.py, so which is for the Streamlit, main.py, which is basically a main file to trigger our project. So next we have a summarizer, so which handles all the text summarization. So next we have a transcriber.py, so which handles all the extraction, audio extraction and the transcription. And finally we have the utils, that is of which handles all the helper functions. All right, so first let's start with one script. Okay, let's start with the transcriber. A second. All right, so first let's start with the transcriber, and I'll just close all these files. Okay, let me open the transcriber. Fine. So first let's start with importing all the modules. So import subprocess. First I'll type, then I'll explain. Okay, so subprocess. So next import whisper, and next import OS. All right, so here we are installing all the necessary modules. Okay, so the sub process basically execute the shell commands. Okay, so next we have something called Whisper. This is an OpenAI speech to text model. Okay, so this is used for the transcription. And next we have a OS, which allows Python to interact with the operating system for any file operations. Okay, even we need a sample file, right? So for the video extraction. So during such process, okay, we'll be dealing with our file systems. Okay, so we need what, an OS. So the next, let's create a method called extract audio. So I'm defining a method called extract audio. So it will take a video path It will take a video path of the type string and the audio path of the type string. First, let me just write down. So we'll give a temp audio dot wave, and the return type of will be of string. All right, so here, so this function basically takes two arguments here. The first is the video path. So this is path to the video file which you want to extract the audio from. Okay, so this is what the path you need to pass on. So next we have the audio path. So this is path to store the extracted audio file, and the default we have set to temp audio dot wave. Okay, so this is the this is basically a path to store the extracted audio file. Okay, so this is the path to the video file where you want to extract the audio from. Okay, so this is what we have defined it. So let me just do enter. So first step is to remove any audio files, existing audio files. Okay, to remove that, so let me just write down the if condition. So if os dot path dot exist audio path just remove it. Okay, os dot remove audio path. So what happens here? So it basically checks if the targeted audio file, what is the targeted audio file? That is a temp audio dot wave. It's already exist or not. So if it is exist, then it will delete that particular audio path. Okay, to just avoid the conflicts. Fine. Okay. So the next is very important. So now we are just defining the command. Okay, so which basically help us to process the audio. So let me just write down that. So here we'll be using a ffmpeg module. Okay, so which I've already installed this dependency. Okay, which basically handles audio video extractions. Correct. So here let me first write down the command of which we need to pass on. So here we call this as a command. So we are creating a list. Okay, so first is this is how we write it. Okay, so ffmpeg. So the first command, which basically tells is a multimedia processing tool. So the next is I need to give -i. Okay, and the video path. So after the -i, just give the comma and write here video path. Okay, so this specifies the input video file. Okay, so this is how you need to define it. So next we have -q. This is the command. Okay, so I'll be telling how we can use this command in the further code. So this is -q :a, and after this give the comma and set that to 0. So this sets the audio quality to the highest. Okay, so to the highest level. Okay, with the least compression and the high quality to generate the high quality audio. So this is what the setting is. So next give the comma, and we have something called map. It's -map. And so here you'll give a. So this basically selects the audio track from the video. This is a very important command. One of the setting which you need to pass within the command, that is -map a. Okay, which basically extracts the audio track. Okay, so that's what the A stands for. So next, finally, we have the audio path. So this is the destination path for the extracted audio. And so next we have -y. So this overrides the automatically overrides the existing files. Okay, so this is what -y is. And let me just we have closed it. All right, so this is what the command is. Okay, so we have just defined that within the list. Now we need to execute this command. Okay, so we'll be using what, ffmpeg. Okay, so to execute this command, okay, to execute this command, so that's what we have already imported this sum process. Okay, so if you hover onto this, you can see, so this model allows you to span process connecting to their input output error pipes and obtain their return codes. Okay, we'll try to execute that in the command line. Okay, it's like a hidden. Okay, it's just it's silently will try to execute all these commands. So here, to execute this, we'll be using a sub process. Okay, we'll be using code a sub process. So let me just write down that. Okay, if you're getting confused, you can just write down here. So like command, so sub process executes shell commands. Okay, so this is what the command we have defined. So just to summarize here, okay, so we are just telling that ff mpeg. Okay, so you have made the mistake, it's not d, it's g. Okay, ff mpeg. So this is basically telling the tool. Okay, we are using the multimedia processing tool. So next we are specifying the input video file, that is -i video path. So then we are setting the audio quality to the highest level. So next we are selecting the audio track from the video. So then we are telling about the destination, okay, where you want to save the file, and finally we are overwriting the existing file. Okay, so now we need to execute this particular command. So to execute this command, so we'll be writing something called sub process. We'll use the sub process here. So sub process dot run, and here we'll pass the command. This is what the command we have constructed. Okay, and here so we need to pass a few parameters here, like standard std standard out. So standard out. So here we use sub process dev null. So sub process dot dev null. Okay, we need to execute this in the silent mode. Okay, and we need to pass this is the output. Okay, so dev null, and here std error. Okay, so if there is any errors, std error, so we'll be using same thing, that is sub process dot dev null. Okay, and so this basically executes this ffmpeg command silently. Okay, so this is what the dev null we are setting, and finally we have the check. We have something called check equals to true. So this ensures that the function raises an exception, so in case this ffmpeg command fails. Okay, so we need to set that to true. Okay, so if we are setting this to true, so if there is any kind of exception, try to show those exceptions over here. Okay, and so finally this is a method. Of course the method will return now the final output. So I'll tell here return what do you need to return. You need to return the audio path. Okay, so because we need to return this audio path, return the audio path. All right, so this is this method will basically returns the, it will extract the audio and return the audio path here. Okay, so now let's create one more function called transcribe audio. Okay, so once this audio is being extracted, so we're gonna pass this particular audio to the OpenAI Whisper model and return the transcribed text. Okay, now we need to have the transcript. Okay, so then finally we can do the summary for that. So let's create a function for that. So here, let me just write down def. So transcribe audio, and here I'm gonna pass the audio path of the type string, then model size of the type string str, Okay, so here we'll tell like what is the model we are using. So we'll be using sorry, we're gonna use the Whisper model. So this is the Whisper dot load model, and so we're gonna pass a model size. Okay, so here we are loading the first word. Okay, in the transcribe audio, we are just passing the part to the audio file which we want to do the transcribe, right? And the next we have the model size. So this is the model size which is set to base. Okay, so we have a different model Whisper model size like tiny, base, small, medium, large. We have set to base here. Okay, so now the next step is to load this Whisper model. So let me just write on. So next step, model size. So next result, I'll take that model dot transcribe model dot transcribe, and here transcrib transcribe, and I'm going to pass this audio path. Okay, and finally I'm going to generate the transcript. Let's create a variable called transcript, and I'm going to take that result, and from that I'm going to extract the text. Okay, so once the extraction is done, so I'm going to extract the text, and finally I'm going to return the transcript. Okay, and save this file. Fine. So yes, so we have just defined the two methods here. One is the extract audio, which basically extracts the audio from the video which we are passing, and whatever the audio we have extracted, we're gonna do the transcription of that by using the Whisper model over here. Okay, so this is what the transcriber dot script is doing. All right. So here we are using two major things, right? So one is the FFmpeg, okay, and so next is the Whisper. Okay, so using these two requirements, we are just completing this particular task. All right, so the next, once you're done with the transcriber, now let's go and set up our summarizer. So summarizer basically help us to do the summary of whatever the transcribed whatever the script transcript we have received from this particular module, right? So let me just go, let me first save this. Okay, so Control S. So this is done. So now let me just go to my summary.py. Okay, so if there's any kind of issues with this file, we'll try to test it, okay, during the execution. All right, so next is the summary.py. So in the summary.py, so here we're going to just do the summarization. That's it. So it's really only one method we're going to add it. So let me just write down. So first let's try to import this transformers. So first let's try to import the transformers, because we are using Hugging Face, right? So which help us to Hugging Face transformers, which help us to do the summary of text summarization of the transcript which I have passed. So from transformers, so this is the input statement from transformers. transformers from transformers, import pipeline. Okay, so we are using this Hugging Face transformers. Okay, so will be using a pipeline. Okay, if you already worked with the transformers, so there are various ways, okay, how you can just call the Hugging Face components. So we'll be using a pipeline over here. Okay, from transformers import pipeline. Okay, now let's define the function. So def define function called summarize text. Summarize text. Summarize text. And here let me first write down. So we are taking the text of the string data type. So then the model name of the type string. Okay, so here if you just go to the Hugging Face, Okay, I don't have account. Let's verify this. So I'm creating Hugging Face here. Okay. So let's write terms and condition. Create an account. All right. So if you just go to your models, okay. So inside the models, okay. So we have something called Facebook, Facebook slash bot hyphen large CNN. Yeah, this model. Okay. So you can see this is a summarization model. Fine. It comes under summarization. See. So from the transformers, you're importing the pipeline. And this is your summarizer. I'm just calling this particular pipeline, and this is the articles. And finally, it will try to do the summary of this. Okay. So this is how it works. So you'll get a verification link. Okay, try to verify this in case if you don't have an account. All right, so here, let me just go. So this will be using this model, okay? So let's go and use this model. So here, I'm just using the same model name. So it's called Facebook slash bot, a large hyphen CNN. And I'll be using a max length of the type integer 150, and the min length of the type 30. I'll explain this, and the return type of this will be str. All right, so here, so this function will accept the 4 parameters. Okay, so first it will try to accept the text, that is the original text which we want to do the summarization. So next is the model name. So we have passed the default, that is a Facebook bot large CNN. In case if you want to just test with some other model name, you can just try to pass it over here. So next we have the max length. So this is the maximum length that is in the terms of tokens of the resulting summary. Okay, so we have just set to 150. So next is the minimum length. So then minimum length basically defines the minimum length of the summary, that is a 30 tokens. Okay, so this 150 and 30 is basically representing the 30. Returns the just mentioning the tokens over here. Okay, and finally this function will return a string containing the summarized text. Okay, this is a return type. So now let's try to initialize this function. Okay, so we're gonna use this pipeline, right? So I'm gonna write summarizer. So it's the same method. Okay, so this is how it's used. Can you see here, summarizer pipeline? Let me just copy this. It's almost same thing. Okay, so summarizer, and here I'll use this pipeline. summarization. So this is what the task I'm doing it, and this is the model name. So what is the model name? So model name is the model name which I'm gonna pass it here. Okay, so during the function calling there is a model name, model underscore name. And the next, let's try to write summary. So next is summary, and I'm gonna call this summarizer, and here in the summarizer I'm gonna pass the text. So this is what the initialization we have done. Okay, so we are just initializing the summarizer pipeline by calling this pipeline here, and here we are just passing like what is the task we are doing it, and this is the model name, okay, which we have passed it. So here text, yeah, so first is text. So next is the max length. So already we have defined it. So max length is equal to max length, is equal to max length, and minimum length equals to min length, and we have something called do sample equals to false. Equal to false. Okay, so what we are doing here, so this step basically calls this summarizer pipeline, providing all this input text, right? And even we are just setting the least tokens, there is a minimum length, and the most tokens, there's a max length, and even we are just setting this to sample is equal to false, which means that we get a deterministic summarization. Okay, so to always generate the same summary for the given input text. So this is what we have just set that to false. It basically will be getting what, a deterministic summarization. All right, so finally, so now we need to extract the output. Okay, so we'll have the final return. So I'll tell here return, and the return will be summary. One of the method, the variable we have created, and inside this, we're gonna extract the summary text. Okay, if you just go and refer to this particular model over here, can see. So within they are using the same thing. Okay, so they are passing the article maximum length, minimum length, and do sample is equal to false. All right. So here summary underscore text. Okay, so within that, so we're gonna extract the summary over here. summarv underscore text. All right. Okay, so I have just saved this file over here. All right, so we are just done with the summarization. So what this summarization is doing, so summarization is basically helping us to do the summarization of the audio that has been extracted using the transcriber. Okay, so what is happening in the transcriber? So in the transcriber, we are passing the video path. So we'll try to extract the audio from that. So that audio is basically it will prepare the transcript using the Whisper model, right? And finally, we're gonna pass that particular transcript to the summarization model. So where we'll do the summarization of that particular audio. Okay. And next function. Okay. So next is let's in the utils, let's try to add this chunking logic. Okay, so let me just go and set up this utils. So let me just first save this, Control S. Okay, so this is done. Okay, so here in the utils, okay, so we'll be creating two functions. So one is called a chunk text, so which basically splits this large text which you're gonna pass into a smaller chunks, for the better summarization. Okay, so because whenever you're doing the summarization, so we need to take the each and every words or sentences into an account. So for that, we're gonna break down that entire big chunk into a smaller splits. Fine. So next we're gonna create one more function called check summarization. So whatever the data we have chunked it, right? So which we have broken down into smaller chunks, we're gonna pass that for the summarization. Okay. So this is what the utils functions we're gonna create it. So let me just write down that. So I have a code for that. Let me just paste it and be explaining. Okay. Uh, all right. So inside this, we have added two methods. Okay, so first method is called chunks text, and the second method is called chunked summary. Okay, so inside this first method, okay, so it takes three parameters here. So first is the text, that is a large input string, so which we want to do the split. Okay, next we have defined the chunk size. This is the maximum number of characters per chunk, okay? And even we have set the default to 2000. So whenever you're calling this utils functions, I mean, like whenever you want to just break down the entire text into a smaller text, okay, you can just make use of this chunk text util function, which is present in the utils. And the default value we have just set the characters per chunk is at 2000. So next is the overlap. This is the number of overlap characters between the constructive chunks. Okay, so what is the overlap? Because even though you are breaking the entire text into chunks, so we need to have the continuity of the entire transcript, right? It's not like just you're breaking the text here, right? So to understand, to have the continuation of the entire transcript, so we need to give the overlap also. Okay, that is the continuity from the previous text or the characters. So we need to define the chunk. We need to define the overlap. Okay, in simple terms, this is the number of characters between the consecutive chunks. Okay, to maintain the context window. Fine. So here we have defined to 200. Okay, so default we have set to 200. So next, finally, it will try to return what? So it will try to return the chunks itself. Right. So first we have just initialized all these variables called a chunks, which is the empty list to store all the resulting chunks. So then we have the start, so which ensure the starting position for slicing that text. So next we have the text length, so we define the total number of characters in the input text. So next we have defined the chunking logic over here. Okay, so this is what your chunking logic is. So it continuously extracts the chunk, so until the entire text is covered. That's what. So while start less than text length. Okay, so we'll try to be in the loop. And so next we have something called end. So it calculates the ending index of the current chunk. So mean start plus chunk size and the text length. Fine. So next, finally, the next we have created a variable called chunk, so which basically extracts the substring from the current start to the end. Then finally, we're gonna append that to a chunk to the list, okay, which we have created empty list over here. Okay, and finally it will try to keep on looping it so until the entire text is covered. Fine. So even we have just added the if condition just to prevent the negative indexing. Okay, so this is how it was. Fine. So next we have defined one more method called chunked summary, so which basically help us to do the summarization. So here also takes four parameters. One is the text itself. Okay, so which need a summarization. So next we have the summarization function. So this function provides whatever the function we have defined for the summarization. Okay, so that function is being called here. So next we have defined the max chunk size. Okay, so which is the maximum chunking size. Okay, and default is set to 2000 over here. And what it returns? So finally it will return a summarized text. Okay, at the end, final summary. Right. So here, so first we have splitted the text into chunks. Okay, this is what the chunk text. This chunk text is coming from this chunk text, right? So it takes all these parameters, which already I have just explained it. So we're gonna pass all those things here. Okay, so chunk text, and finally I'll get the chunked text, right? So text chunks. And finally we're gonna do the summarization of that. So I'm be calling that summarization function. Okay, and so what are the function I've just passed it? We'll try to iterate over this text chunk, and finally I'll be summarizing the individual components here, right? And finally I'm gonna store that summarize inside this partial summaries. Okay, so it'll be stored in the partial summaries. And finally, so we're gonna join all these individual chunks into one single string separated by the spaces. So that's what we're doing, the dot join partial summaries. And finally, I'm gonna return this final summary over here. Okay. So here we are just here after joining everything. Okay, so this is what the concise and the concised summary. Okay, so we're gonna pass that as a final summary over here. Okay, this is the utils function which is gonna use it. Fine. Okay. So once we are done with the utils, so the next we are left with a very important file, that is a main.py file, which basically help us to connect all this components over here, right? So let me just go to the main.py and save this utils.py. Control S. All right. So first in the main.py, so let's try to import all the necessary uh, components. So main.py. So here, of course, we need import OS. So next we are from the transcriber, TRANSC, from the transcriber. So we have created two methods, right? So one is the extract audio. So I'm going to extract the extract audio and we're going to use that, and the transcribed audio, right? And from the summarizer, we're going to extract the summarized text. We're going to import the summarized text. And from the utils, let's import chunked summary, chunked summarize. All right, so first let's define the method. So I'll be using df video to summary, video to summary. All right, so here inside this particular method, okay, so we're going to pass the multiple parameters. So first, the video path, correct? So this is the part to the video file. Okay, so now we are just connecting all this transcriber, summarizer, and the utils. We're just switching this because this is the entry point of our program, like entire application to run. So the method we have defined is video to summary. Okay, so and we're gonna pass what? A video path. We're gonna pass the video path over here of the type string, and the model size of the type string, and I'll call this as a base. So next we have the summarize model name, summarizer, summarizer model underscore name. And so here I'll just take this string and pass the model name, that is a Facebook/bot, a large hyphen CNN. Okay, so next we have something called use chunking, and it will be of bool type, and I've just set to false. I'll explain this. Okay, and finally, so this will return or str. Okay, so here we are going to pass multiple parameters. Okay, starting with a video path. So this is the path to the video file. Okay, and next we have the model size. So this is the Whisper transcription model size. So already we have just set that to base. So here also we have just setting that default to base. So next we are calling this summarizer model name. So here we are using this Facebook/bot large CNN, and even we are using this boolean indicating if the chunk summarization is needed for the long transcripts or not. Okay, and by default it is set to false. Okay, and what is the return type? So return type is the string, is a summary string extracted from the video content. Okay, so this is what our main hero for entire project. Okay, this is a video to summary. Okay, so now first let's try step one. Let's try to execute this step one, where I'll be calling this extract audio method, where I'll just gonna pass the two things. Okay, one is the video path and the audio path, right? So let me just go and define that. So here, so I'll just write here audio path, audio path, and in the audio path, so here I'll just pass this TMP audio dot wave. Okay, this is my audio path in the current directory. Okay, so I'll be calling this directly extract audio method. So in the extract audio, I need to pass two things. One is the video. So even though in the extract audio path, even we have defined the default path to temp. Okay, so even just rewriting this. Okay, so we are calling this audio video path and the audio path and the audio path. Okay, this is what is step one. So this basically extract the audio. Let me just write down here. So this basically extract audio. So next, let's perform the transcription of that video. So I'm gonna use transcribe audio. So here, let me create a variable called transcribe transcript, and here I'm gonna call this transcript audio method, which I've defined it. So where it will take two things. So if I just go to the transcriber, so here you can see it will take two things. One is the audio path and the model size, right? So I'm gonna write it here audio path, and the model size. So model size equals to model size. Right, and finally we're gonna call this chug summarization, right? Summarize the text. So summarize text, let's try to add that. Okay, so the third part is summarizing. MMARIZN, summarizing summarizing transcript. Okay, all right, so here just a second, I'll explain. If is yeah, okay, all right, so here, so inside this third step, that is summarizing the transcript, so here we are just breaking down this long scripts into a chunks. Okay, so which we have already defined in the utils, right? So you can see if use chunking. Okay, so just summarize in multiple chunks and then do the final summary. Okay, we are calling this chunked summarize. From where we're getting this chunk summarize? If we go to utils, so that's what we have defined, right? So chunk summarized. Okay, so I'm just calling that chunk summarized, and we have what a variable to store the chunk summarize called final summary. Okay, so it will take a few parameters here, that is the text, there is a transcript, then finally because the transcript is which something which is coming from the previous step, right? So transcript, and so here we are using a lambda function, right? So you can see if you try to observe here, so we are just summarizing the each chunk individually, and then this, and then finally we are just combining that into one single text, okay, one single string. So this is what this chunk summarize method is doing. Okay, this is come from the utils. So you can see text is transcript, then lambda take that individual text and call this summarize a text. Okay, and we are going to pass this text as well as the model name. Okay, we are just doing the summary for each and every chunk which we have just splitted. Okay, and finally the max chunk size is 2000, which is set to default. And finally so next we have the for this is the direct summarization. So it will try to summarize the entire transcript in a single pass. Okay, that is for which is for the shorter scripts. Okay, if you have just uploaded the video which has the very less transcript, so then you can just use this, it will jump to the else here. Okay, so the summarized text we are going to pass and the model name. Okay, so this is for the shorter transcripts. Fine. So this is the third step. Fine. So next we have let's clean up. Now let's do let's remove the any existing files. Okay, so even we need to call that. So here in the final, so let me just write down. So if os dot path dot exist, so here we're gonna look for the audio path, and I'll do os dot remove, and I'm gonna pass here audio path, and finally just return return the final summary. Okay, and finally we're gonna execute this particular script. Okay, so this is the execution code. Okay, so just fix the path here. Just again explain. This is the outer thing. Okay, so it's not from the function. Control X, I'll paste it here. Control V. Okay. Yeah. So if just a second, let me just copy paste it. So after this, so we are just executing this particular script with the help of main. Okay. Okay, let me do Control S. All right, so this is the final execution. Okay, so which basically display the final output in the terminal. Okay, so here we're just calling, we're just stitching everything. We're just calling this video summary on the top, which we have defined it. And so we are passing what? So we are passing the video file, model size, then summarize model name as well as the use chunking we are set to true here. Okay, so this basically executes when we trigger. Okay, so our main dot revive should call all this transcriber and the summarizer. All right, so now let's try to execute this and let's check it if everything is working fine. Yeah. So here you can see we need to pass this video file. There is example video. To pass that example video, okay, I already have some sample video. Let me just open that and show it to like what is we have inside this sample video. Okay, this will be our sample video for extraction.
A data scientist is a person who uses data to solve problems, uncover patterns, and gain insight. They often work in businesses and organizations which gather and curate large datasets. A data scientist may leverage knowledge from statistics, computer programming, databases, machine learning, and mathematical modeling to achieve their goals. A day in the life of a data scientist. First, the data scientist needs to understand the
All right,
bit
so this is a 1
hypothesis
minute
bites
explaining about all the data
inefficient
science.
and recommend
So let me
solutions.
just close this and I'm just copying this particular example video here and going to my project. I'm just pasting that in my project directory. Okay, it's in the same level. So if I just go back, so I can see this example video dot mp4 file, mp4 file. Okay, let me just go and run this. So I have saved everything. Let me just type here. So Python main.py. Secondary, this got already executed temp audio file which you have defined it, which will extract basically the audio from the video which you have passed it. So at the end we need to see the summary. Okay, so if it's working fine, then we can go with the Streamlit app. We are using the PyTorch for the using the CPU. That's what it's there. If you have a GPU, so we have a different installation code for that. Yeah. So I'm getting the final summary here. So it was a 60 seconds video. So I'm getting a 2-line summary for that. So this is the overall summary from the video I'm getting it. Okay. So data scientist is a person who uses data to solve problems. They often work in the business which gather and curate large data sets. A data scientist may leverage knowledge from statistics, computer programming, databases, machine learning, and machine model. Okay. So it's absolutely working fine. All right, so now let's go and integrate that with the Streamlit. So this way you can just test with some very even the large video also. Okay. All right. So now, so before going with the Streamlit, okay, make sure you've just installed it, the Streamlit in the same environment. So I'll do here pip install Streamlit. Okay. So it's installing all the dependencies for the Streamlit app. All right, so here already we have created a script called app.py. So I'm just pasting all the code for the Streamlit. Okay, so here we are importing the Streamlit as st, import OS. Okay, so even we are just from the main. Okay, so in the main we have already defined this video to summary method. Okay, which basically help us to give the final output. We are just importing that also. So here, so we have just set the title to video summarizer, and here we are giving an user an option where he can upload the video, and once the video is uploaded, so all the at the backend will try to do all this summarizations, and finally we're going to display the output. Okay, so here we have one simple button just to click to trigger the process. Fine, so it's very simple script here. Let me just do Control S. Now let's try to run this app. So let me just write on. So Streamlit run. Streamlit run app.py, and let me allow this. Try to initiate the class. Okay, so I got it. It's just a warning. Okay, so that's okay. Let me click on browse file, and let me go to the same path example video. Let me open that. Yeah, it's running now, so let's wait. Okay, so you can see I'm getting the same output here. So data scientist is a person who uses data to solve problems. Okay, so it's the same thing. You can just try with some other video, just download it from the YouTube, or if you have any other video, you can record your own video and try to do the summarization of that. So yes, so this is absolutely working fine. I hope you have enjoyed it. So see you soon with the next new project.